Mamaza kungi betengo we kumoyi ingumada takana. Okyo sokinu kibangase. Manuele ngando mushisamye. Manuele.
Hey, hey. All right, so I am now on the line with a Mr. Norberto Betto Herrera. I hope I said that proper.
That was really, really close.
It sucks. All right, so you are the owner and director of Mambo Dinamico Dance Company, which is a premier Afro-Latin dance company based in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. And your dance company specializes in educating and spreading cultural awareness through Latin dance. I believe you created that, was it 2002 or 2004?
Well, I started teaching in 2002 with my partner, uh, and so that was when I was in the military. I was in the United States Marines, and once my enlistment was over, I got medical discharge from the military. That's that's when we founded Mambo Dinamico, like an actual um, company. So it was so I want to say it was more professional at that time.
Okay, I understand. I understand. If I'm not mistaken, you were born in Ecuador, but
Yeah,
you currently live in North Carolina, correct?
correct.
Hey, amazing, amazing. How are you doing today, Roberto?
Yeah, with this what's going on around the world with the pandemic and all, trying to do the best of it, the best out of it, but trying to spend more time with family and the kids. But so far so good.
Amazing, amazing. Um, I want to start by saying, I want to thank you. I really want to thank you, for taking time out today to talk to me. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. My
Um,
pleasure.
so I think a great way to start this out, man. I would love to hear about your childhood growing up in Ecuador. What was that like for you?
All right, so just like you can find in any Latin American country, um, and especially my city in Guayaquil. Uh, Ecuador, by the way, is one of the most, how will you say it, um, soc- socially community-oriented country in the world. So if you contrast that with the United States has like one of the most individualistic cultures in the world. So it's a big contrast. So, for instance, in my city, we in my neighborhood we used to have like about 30 kids like around my age, and the parents just let them out on the streets, and we used to like just play together all day long. We used to like go on marathons, like we'll go on races like for like a miles away when we were just like 10, 12 years old, and we were without any adult supervision, so we were very free. We used to play all type of games, uh, and but music was always around us. So we would have city or national or regional holidays where they will have like some type of tournaments and sports tournaments during the day, kids competitions like jumping in the sack or having the egg at the on the spoon type of races. It was a lot of fun, and they would always had some type of parties at night, and it's just in the middle like a block party, right? And during the block parties they will have dance competitions for kids and for adults, and I was always entering onto that dance competitions. I will win them all every single time, and it was whatever it was like the flavor of the year. So we used to do lambada during that day, which now we call it souk. We also did punta, which is like it became very popular late 80s, which is a rhythm from Honduras. We did salsa merengue was very popular on the day too. So like all type of music, all type of dances. It was great.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. I'm very curious to hear from you, man. I guess looking back on, Ecuador as a child, and I don't know when the last time you've been back, but can you tell me how has Ecuador changed from when you were a child to, how Ecuador is today?
Okay, so it has changed A little bit, but my perspective of Ecuador has changed a lot. If so, because as a child, you can only see so far and understand so much of what's going on around you. So, for instance, um, I'm the older of three. So I have two siblings. My two brothers. They are 2 years and 3 years younger than me. So I was the oldest one. And we used to live in the neighborhood that is basically like the ghetto, like you compare it to the ghetto here. So we I grew up with all type of corruption, all type of delinquents used to live in my neighborhood. And so it was like a little hub from all the thieves around the city that will stop by my neighborhood, because we have like this big gang organization there, right? Um, so I always grew up hearing these adventures that these people will have, and for us it was like so amazing. So and as a child, you're so impressionable that you start thinking, oh, this is what you do when you're older, right? So that was part of it. As I was getting older, I left Ecuador when I was 16 years old. So as I was getting older, I started realizing that things are not supposed to be that way. So um, so then and one of my brothers started getting into big troubles because he started getting into the gangs, right? To the point that he actually he was one time he was chased by another guy with a knife. Like this guy wanted to stab him, right? The other time, one guy was going to shoot him in front of our house, and the gun misfired. So, and that's why we left Ecuador, because it was so dangerous. Like something would happen to him or to us, because me being older, I was always fist fighting. So that's just something that you have to do there. Like if you get insulted, you have to throw blows, right? So that was something that it was just a natural thing. Um, so the last time that I used having since I left, like I will go back like every 3 or 4 years. Okay. But the last time that I went, it was with my wife. So we're remarried. It was about, I want to say 6 years ago, like a year prior that my son was born. And he's 5 right now. So we went back, and uh, the city has grown a lot. On like there are more buildings, more roads. Even the country has progressed a lot into that aspect. But something that was very sad for me is that I wanted to go see all my friends from childhood, right? And I went to the neighborhood with my wife, and I told her, I said, just don't be scared. I was trying to prepare her, right? And as soon as I will encounter some old men, like the older men that used to run the bodega on the corner. Hey, have you seen so and so? Or he said, oh yeah, he's in jail. Okay. What about so and so? He said, oh, he got shot right on that corner. What about so and so? Oh, he got stabbed on that corner. And what about so and so? He said, oh, he is running from the police right now. And so from all those 30 kids that were around that I grew up with, there's only like about 5 or 6 kids that made it out, to be somehow productive into society, right? So that's the sad part about it. But the vibrant city, the people have very little, but because they have very little, they appreciate it so much. They value things and every single experience so much. So that has never gone away. So that always been there. Um, and like for instance, having potlucks, and we met in Ecuador, well, in Guayaquil, there's a big crab city. So like wherever you go, there's a river or some type of body of water, and you can get crabs from there. So that was like a thing to do, right? So you get like mountains of crab, and you boil them. You make a boil out of them, and everybody in the neighborhood comes and eat. Like you always share it because it's a very community oriented society. So like everybody is in the neighborhood, and that was something that, for instance, in my when I grew up, nothing ever bad happened to me when you were a kid, because everybody really takes care of the children in the neighborhood, and nothing will happen to you when you're in the neighborhood, because those gangs actually protected like the whole neighborhood. Our house could be wide open and nobody will go in there and steal anything because it was protected, because it was part of the neighborhood. So and every single time that we had like a boil, like a crab boil, everybody would come and eat. Like it was, we have parties in front of our house and so forth. So it's like, so that had never gone away. That's still there. It's just like, um, corruption is still a problem, a big issue and so forth. So.
Okay, I understand. I got a lot of questions, man, but I know we're kind of strapped for time. So let me ask you this, man. If I'm not mistaken, you moved to the U.S. You said when you were 16 back. Was that in 1996, correct?
Yes.
Hey, so I'm very curious to hear from you. Tell me about, you know, transitioning to America. Growing up in Ecuador your whole life. What was that first year like coming to, the U.S., coming to New York? What was that like for you?
Okay, so I moved to West. No, I moved to New Jersey, to Hudson County. So there's like all these little towns in a row that you have, like Eden City, Weehawken, Union City, West New York, Gothenburg, North Bergen, and they're all like right along the Hudson River. So right across the river from New York City. So which is whatever that is, like that would be like Midtown Manhattan, right? But on the other side of the river. So that's where I grew up, and it's about, I want to say, like about 95% Hispanic population there. So every single business is run by Hispanics. Every service, there you have Hispanics. So the whole town is Hispanic. So the language transition was not as hard because everybody spoke Spanish. So that was nice. And also we all moved in the summer, and over there everybody's out, and I remember that my way of coping with the move was to stay busy doing sports, playing soccer, playing basketball, uh, and rollerblading. I was really big into rollerblading at that time, so I used to be gone like for hours in a day. So but I always miss, the family, because in a neighborhood like where I grew up, you knew everybody. Like you knew who lived right next door to you, like the people in the corner, the guy from the bodega knew you by first name. They knew your family and they knew your grandparents, and everybody, right? But when I came to the U.S. to that neighborhood, even though it was so Hispanic, it was so dense with Hispanic population, nobody talked to their neighbors. It was just us. We live here. We didn't really know who lived upstairs or next door or on the house across the street. Sometimes they will wave. Sometimes they just, went their way. So that was kind of like a big clash for me. And so, again, the United States having that individualistic society. So that was hard, but eventually, since I was always good in sports, it was really easy for me to make friends that way. But yeah, so the language the language part, I actually felt more bigger effect after I graduated high school and I went to the Marines, because when you have somebody like this 2 inches away from your face yelling at you and you have no idea what they're saying, it's like it can be one frustrating, or two, for me it was like, I don't care because I don't know what they're saying to me right now. So I took it that way. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect, man. So I'm actually in the military as well, man. So I
Cool.
would love to hear, man. Tell me, I guess, tell me about. Do you remember boot camp? Basic.
Yes.
Tell me about basic. I would love to hear about that from you.
Okay, so basic training. Um, because of the way that they discipline kids in Ecuador, and the school system is very military-like. So by the time that I was in boot camp for the Marines, it was like, oh, this is I'm used to this, like doing push-ups, doing all this other stuff. It was not that part was not that difficult, and also I think that uh, and some other people have agreed with me on this, especially when my wife went to see the kids in Ecuador. Like we met a bunch of my cousins and nephews. The kids in Ecuador, because they have so much freedom, they actually they mature much faster. They see what's around, around them. They're like quicker into thinking. I mean, you know how somebody will tease you when you make a comment, and they will like come back like right away with some type of joke, or they just like that basically drop the mic on you. It's okay. Every single kid in our neighborhood is like that, and they're like 7 to 10 years old, and they're like that. They're like so quick, right? So and being able to mature, being a little more mature than the rest of my peers in boot camp, it was a game changer for me, because I saw like the type of mind games that the drill instructors were trying to play with us, right? I would say, oh yeah, he's just doing this because this and that, it's not like, I know he's not gonna hit me. And then again, I grew up fighting, so if he hits me, so what? I'm used to getting punched, right? So, but I will see how it will affect my peers. I will like go to bed, and I will hear people crying, like in the middle of the night. I just under the covers, and I'm like, wow. So I will see how it will affect other people. So it didn't. I was able to just overlook through that, and just I have to do my job, and I will not get into trouble, and like my other friends did. I remember when I left for boot camp, I left from Brooklyn, the MEPS in Brooklyn, and when we were going, we all got our plane tickets, and there was 5 of us, right? And it was myself. I'm Ecuadorian. I have another guy that he was Dominican. I had another guy that was Haitian. We have a white guy, no, an Italian guy, and an African American. So we're like those were my peers that we all went to the same battalion together, right? So it was really cool to see like that it was such a diverse group that went there, and you know how it is. You create this brothership when you go through those times. And up to this day, I still have contact with a few of them. So that's the cool thing about it. But going back to my experience in boot camp, it was, since I was able to see those games, I was able to do my job a little bit better than everybody else. And I remember I became a squad leader. So, like, mind you, I could barely understand English, right? So they make me a squad leader because I was always on point doing my stuff. So as a squad leader, I was in charge of making sure that my squad was doing their job. Everybody in the squad, and we had this one guy, the guy from Haiti, right? He he was a slow waker upper, I would call it. So it's like, the type of person that they wake up and they're like sleepwalking for like an hour until they realize what's going on. So that was him. So every time that you wake up and they wanted to, and they can start counting down. Okay, put your boots in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put your pants in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 type of thing. He was always the last one, and because he was not dressed, everybody had to like get undressed again, and that was taking time away from our breakfast time. And if you don't eat breakfast, and you need those calories for like the rest of the activities during the day, right? So I remember the drill instructor calling me up and saying, like, he's in your squad, he's your problem. If you guys don't eat because of him, it's on you. I was like, oh my god. So I will go to bed already dressed, Okay, so that way when I will wake up, I will have to dress him every single morning during boot camp. I will have to like help him put his boots on, put his pants, buckle him up, button his shirts and everything. So when he was like just putting his t-shirt, I was already dressed. I have dressed him the bottom, right? It was insane. And but the funniest thing is that this guy, when he was up, he was so athletic. He was running like a 3 miles in 50 minutes. He was fast, and he used to do gymnastics too. It was insane. How can you be like this in the morning? And so that was one of the fun experiences that I had in boot camp. So yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm curious, man. You kind of spoke on it earlier, but I guess throughout this whole time period, were you still able to dance? You said you danced in Ecuador. When you moved to America, when you joined the military, were you still dancing as a hobby, or did you put that off?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, so I was dancing like all Latin type of music until I was like about 14, 15 years old when I was becoming a teenager, right? Like I was becoming a man. And and then for some reason I started getting more interested into American music. So I will listen to rock and roll like Nirvana at that time, Guns N' Roses, and all those bands. So I was not really dancing. That was my thing. And techno. Techno was just becoming popular there. So I was into techno. So that was where my interest was in American music. So when I was like 14, 15, 16, I was not really interested in dancing Latin music. So when when I moved to the States, uh, something shift on me. So like I think I miss my country, my culture so much that it drew me back into Latin music. So I will watch any type of dance show and will pick up the move, and then I will like dancing like at those high school house parties. So I became like the salsa guy, the dance guy in my high school because I was always picking up movements, like the moves, the turns, and all that stuff. So that was something that really helped me, again with my social time and creating some friendships. And so, but once I graduated high school, I used to go to all these clubs with this fake ID, and I will go to like a Puerto Rican club because again in that area is very populated by all these different Hispanic nationalities. I will go to the Puerto Rican club and I will pick up some moves from those Puerto Rican dancers. I will go to the Cuban club and I will pick up some moves from the Cuban dancers. I will go to the Colombian club. I will pick up some of their moves from there. And then I got such a mixture of all those styles. So when I go to the Puerto Rican club, they will tell me, "Oh, you dance like you're Cuban." And if I go to the Cuban club, they will tell me, "Oh no, you dance like Colombian." And then when I go to the Colombian club, they say, "No, you dance like a Puerto Rican." And I was like, "I'm just dancing, right?" So that's just the way that I felt. So that was really really cool. And then one time I went to a club that I used to go all the time, but on a Sunday, right? So for the first time I went there on a Sunday, and there was a salsa class there that had just finished, and those dancers were practicing, and it was like a social. But for me, they were just practicing, and then other people will come in from other classes, and they will have the social, and that's when I first it was my first time seeing some like real authentic professional salsa dancers, and I was like, oh my god, these guys dance really cool. This is like they will be doing footwork apart from each other, and at that point I didn't know what they were called shines, and they will like come into partner work without missing a beat. That it will flow right into it. When I used to do that, I would have to like weigh like a couple of bars to kind of like synchronize myself with my partner and then go. These guys were like right on it, right? I was like, man. So I started inquiring, who they were and so forth, and that's how I met Ismael Otero in New Jersey, who was one of my first instructors. And yeah, and then I took lessons from him for like about 2 years until I joined the military. One of the funniest thing is that when one of the last classes that I took, and because I used to do classes slash socials, um, Ismail's mom came and asked me if I wanted to join their dance team because they want to start a dance team. From it was like the first time that he was going to do like a training team or like a semi-pro student team type of thing, right? And but he already had a pro team. So when she said that to me, he's like, well, I'm just leaving like in 15 days. I'm going for the Marines. I have just signed my contract. So so I did dance for like about 2 years, like training, taking classes with him and a couple of other instructors in the Jersey area. When I was in the military, I think I was 1 year in, and there was the E Club on our base here in Camp in New River Air Station, which is part of Camp Lejeune. They had an E Club, and they had Friday nights was Latin night. So like all the Latinos used to go there, and they used to dance. So then at one time I asked the guy that ran the E Club if he would like for me to start teaching there, because I was trying to find some people that I could actually dance with and not just go through the motions, right? So he said yes. So that I started teaching there like about 2001. Mhm. And so little by little, I heard that there was a salsa scene here in Raleigh, which is like about 2 hours away from the base. So on the weekends, I will after we finish teaching, on Saturday nights, I will come to Raleigh 2 hours away. I will dance, and then I will drive back. I was nuts. So, and that's how I met that who will become my dance partner. And then a year later, we started teaching there.
I'm very curious, man. The ability to dance and the ability to teach are two very different skills. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious to hear from you, man. Please tell me about your beginner stage in teaching. What was that like for you?
Oh, I was terrible. I was terrible. I like my descriptions were okay, do this and that, and then do this and cross over here, and then do that, and you're done. So there was no concept behind it, no way to, or no, how do you say it, a structure to build a dance. I was just showing moves, right? So that's what it was. And the other thing is I had no idea anything about music concepts, no idea about the history of the dances, nothing, until there was a guy that asked me, so where is salsa from? And then I was like, it's Latin, right? So, and then another person said, he said, how do you find the beat? For me, I had never been asked that question. I already knew what the beat was, right? So how can I explain somebody who have never experienced this music to find that first beat? So that's when I started like researching everything about music, history, and yeah, that. So that started happening like about 2003. Yeah, like about 2000. No, 2002. 2002. I started researching every article that I could find in the internet about it, and then I started like hanging out with a lot of musicians, and I would be like like the a tech, like just holding on to these people and asking all these type of questions, and they will show me how to like play this instrument and this other instrument, and how everything will come together and so forth. So that's how I started building up some knowledge to be able to transmit this to other dancers, other students.
Man, I understand that, man. So you're learning to teach. You meet your future dance partner, and it's around this time where you create Mambo Dynamico.
Yes, so we started teaching a class on Sunday nights. So we used to go dance on Saturdays. Then on Sunday nights we will teach our class, right? So this is what. So we started just with one class. So both of us were teaching one class. The first class that we had was like about 5 students. Okay. Then a month later we had 80 students in this class. It was insane because we're like the only ones actually teaching a consistent class with this type style, like on two linear. So so we're thinking we must be doing something right. So we continue doing that, and then some of the students were picking it up and getting better. So we divide that class into having she will teach like the beginners, I will teach that the next level. Um, so those dancers started growing more, and there was a need for a third level. So at one point, I was on Sunday, I was teaching two classes at the same time. I will go to one side and I will say, okay, do this, and that, and follow him. So I'll pick up like one of the best students, follow him, and I'll go to the other side and I will do the same. And so I was like running back and forth, and that was horrible. That was draining for me. So then I decided, okay, maybe we should do a class on another day. So we moved the higher class to another day. So we have like three levels in those 2 days. And then those students started getting better. And there was a couple of them that they were getting really good, that we thought that maybe we could do something with them. And at that point, I have already choreographed a routine with my partner. So we decided to teach that routine to them and do it like a two couple routine, like a team. And that's how we started. So like by the end of like 2004, we already had that small team, and like the next year we had like two teams, like a pro and a semi-pro team. So and so that's how it all developed.
Let me ask you this. I want to give some value to dancers out there. So for someone who is, aspiring to create their own dance team or create their own dance company, let me ask you this. What are some things that you know now that you wish you had known when you first started Mambo Dinamico?
Know your history, and not only and create a syllabus that is comprehensive, that you can build on, and something concrete that the students can see and aspire to the next thing that's going to come. So and that also depends on the type of instructor that you are, and the location where you are, and that microculture within your area, because the needs for dance for the students are going to vary depending where you are. So some people might like, be more technical. Some people might like to be a little more fun and just chill about it. Some people like drills, and some people just want to have a laugh sometimes. So it all depends. You have to, and the web, there's somewhere in the middle between those things. What works for you, but having a clear structure of your classes, the different levels, which level is learning what, having a good vocabulary for all these steps, that helps a lot, not just for them but also you, because you can actually concentrate on the things that you need to do, and instead of going on a tangent, right?
That's super important. That's super important. Well, let me ask you this. You've been dancing pretty much your whole life. I'm very curious to hear from you. What are some lessons that you've learned from dancing that you're able to translate to your everyday life?
For me, is living in the moment and appreciate that moment. So now, and when I dance, I don't think ahead of what move I'm going to do. It's like whatever the music is communicating to me, and my partner's energy is feeding to me. It just creates those moments. Some of those moments are better than others. Some of them don't work out, but there are those moments, and we need to appreciate those moments for what they are. So that's something that I try to value, especially now, with what you're going through. I try to value these moments as much as I can. We can, like with my kids. So I have a 1-year-old girl, baby girl, and a 5-year-old boy that I'm taking care of during the day, because right now I cannot work. So even though I plan, and me and my wife are trying to plan what we're going to do during that day, the activities, something always happens. We're not able to fulfill those plans, or you have to change the plans. So I'm just, even though sometimes it's very frustrating, sometimes I try to accept those moments for what they are and just try to enjoy it instead of, becoming negative about it.
I understand that. So, if I'm not mistaken, is dancing your full time job? Being the director and owner of
Yeah, yeah.
amazing, amazing. So let me ask you this. Then I'm very curious to hear from you. Um, what are some things that people may not know about the life of a full time dancer?
Okay, yeah. So the perception is that we go to class without having any prior preparation for it. So um, the way that I prepare my classes are one, I have created my the structure of the class. I know exactly what I want to do on each time. Okay, so that's like a skeleton in my head. I watch my students dance all the time, so I know what they're lacking. So how can I how can I target those problem areas within that structure that I have created? Okay, um, so during that process, I also realized that some student might need a little more help or guidance than others. So I also need to be prepared for that. So what can I do to communicate to this person in a positive way that will help their growth? So that that takes a lot of experience by doing this for a long time, so you can do it successfully because it is really it's really easy to approach and try to do to make a correction to a student and not making them feel positive about it. So that's that approach. There's a very thin line that sometimes you don't want to go across, because once a student feels that they're being judged, they're gonna tune off. They're not gonna hear you anymore, and they're probably not gonna come back, right? So you wanna so it's a lot of preparation just for the class. Then you also have the promotion side of it. So it's like a constant promotion. The admin part of it. I don't know how the other companies do it, but or other dancers do it. But I have like years of data of all my classes, and I see exactly how many students I have. I can see the growth of the classes. I can see like the the how quickly each student is growing from class to class. I then I start shaping my business in a way that it makes sense, and then I can a way that I can sustain myself by doing what I love. So, because at the end of the day, for me, it's a business, but it's a business that I love to do. So if I can create a sustainable business that can help pay the bills at home and be financially reliable, then I can continue doing what I love the most. Because if I cannot produce enough money to do the business, then I will have to step away from it and then have to find another job, because at the end of the day, the bills needs to be paid, right? So you need to create your business so it's successful enough so you can invest more time in it, and at the same time that it can produce for you, so so it's like a cycle, right? You put more time into it so you can produce more, so you can continue doing it and continue creating.
Okay, okay, I understand. Let me ask you this, man, because there are a lots of people out there who would love to be in your position and be able to feed themselves off of dancing, pay the bills off of dancing. Uh, in your opinion, what do you think has been your secret? What has been the key to your success? What has allowed you to be able to do your passion as your daytime job?
Okay, so I wanna I wanna say I want to take your question as an opportunity to thank the mentors that I had. So, for instance, Ismael Otero was and continue being one of my mentors. And he taught me a lot about how to approach the way of teaching, so to make people feel welcome. Um, Besides teaching me dance step, that's not the biggest thing that I took from him. Uh, eh, in Felix Pupi Insua, who is an Afro-Cuban master, like one of the first Afro-Cuban dance masters that we had in the US. He passed away a few years ago. He taught me about being true to the roots of the dance and respect those traditions. Um, I had somebody about like Cuban Pete was also considered one of my mentors, who also passed away. Him and Barbara Craddock. They were very big, very supportive into and help pushing me to be more artistically creative. So even though and that was always been my approach of creating dance choreographies and so forth. I want to give respect to the roots, but at the same time have the freedom to be artistic about it. So that way it's entertaining as well. And so those are the some of my three big mentors that I had. Um, so going back going back to your question, can you repeat your question again for me, please?
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I guess what do you think has allowed you to become successful in this endeavor?
Okay. Okay. So yes. So going back to those three mentors or those lessons that they taught me. So I try to apply that to each class that I have. Okay. And so now my approach have been is that I try to create a community. So if I create a community, then and I invest into that community is gonna invest back into me and what we stand for as a dance company. So it goes from the moment that they walk through the door, how they need to feel warm and welcome, and to the first word that I tell the class, it has to be some type of joke, so that way they all relax right away. So because a lot of especially Americans, they haven't been exposed to dance at all, or like for the first time they come to a dance class that they have never danced in their lives, right? So if you just tell them a joke and just from the get-go you let them know it's like, right, this is not serious, we're all learning together, let's go have fun. So that guard goes down, and right away they start learning better because they're relaxed, right? And then just continue doing that through the classes, and as they are progressing, being start giving more technique and more technique and more technique until you get to a higher level, and it's all like all these techniques that you have learned from the beginning, you have it there at the end. One point that also, like, I mentor a lot of instructors, a lot of new instructors, and sometimes some people that just reach out to me. This is the way that I explain it to them. So in our area, in the Triangle in North Carolina, we have a lot of businesses in the Research Triangle Park. All those people that come from all these different areas in the states and some international, they have like 2 to 3 year contracts. Okay, and they're gonna look for things to do during that time, because they probably don't have any other social circles that they can interact, right? So they're looking for something to do. Okay? We also have like three of the biggest schools in North Carolina. We have Duke University, UNC Chapel Hill, University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and then we also have North Carolina State. Okay, so those students are going to go to school for like about 4 years. So so these people are going to be here in that area for in that time, and then they're going to move out. Most of these people do not have they haven't have any group of friends before moving to this area. Or I'm sorry, when they move to the area, they kind of like are by themselves now, right? So they're going to look for something to do. Okay, so you have about the 3 to 4 years to teach these people to dance. Okay, now if you invest in beginners, you have 3 to 4 years to get get their support, for them to support your business. Okay, now if you are only going to try to teach advanced dancers, those advanced dancers might be in their fourth year already. So financially, it doesn't really make sense, right? Because you lost 3 years of these people investing in your business. So, but if you start from the beginning, you have 4 years for these people to invest in you. Not only that, but when you get them at the beginning, and if you really do inspire them and do your job into make them feel included into the community, they always want to support you, because they always want to remember that first dance class that you ever taught them. So,
Super important, super important. I wanna end this out, man. I want to give some advice to dancers. So I want to ask you just a couple of questions, and you just tell me your opinion on it real quick. All right?
yeah.
Yeah. So for someone who is a beginner, and they feel like they're stuck in a rut, like they're not getting better, what advice could you give them?
Work on your basics. So, and this is something that I got from Ismail. He says this all the time. He says beginners have the tendency to take intermediate lessons. Intermediate dancers have the tendency to take advanced lessons, and advanced dancers, they take private lessons to work on basics. Okay, and even up until today, when somebody that I don't know, come and ask me for a private lesson, the first thing that I tell them, okay, let me see your basic. And if you're not growing, there's a glitch in your basic that you got that wasn't corrected from the beginning, that is keeping you from growing. Yeah.
That's super important. I interview a lot of dancers, and they all tell me, um, if you want to get better, you got to work on the basics. You got to work on the basics. So that's super important. And hmm, I guess you might have already answered this, but for someone who is an intermediate dancer and they want to get better, what does it take for them?
Intermediate dancers, work on your basic. No, but once you start getting into the intermediate level, if you want to cross that line from intermediate to advanced dancer, um, that's possibly the hardest line to cross, to make that jump. Okay, so that's why a lot of understanding the musical structure uh, helps you a lot, especially when it comes to Latin dances, because the it's a polyrhythmical music, so you have different layers of rhythms that they build up from each other, and sometimes it can be very difficult to understand. Okay, and one thing that I remember Pupi told me when he was coaching me, he said to me, he's like, do not let the music take over or control you. He said, you need to control the music. So he said that to me, and right away I said, what the heck is he talking about? Like the music is already playing. How can I control the music? So it took me a few years to realize what he was trying to tell me. It's like, you have all these rhythms that are there, try to understand them, internalize them, and then express yourself. Do not chase after the music, because you're never going to catch it, right? So internalize the rhythm, and then you can express.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you this. When I say the word musicality, what does that mean to you?
Okay, so this is what my concept of musicality is. It is the interpretation of rhythms with some cultural and historical concepts. Okay, so there's a lot of times that we confuse the term musicality with interpretation or choreography or freestyling, which are all different things. Okay, so for instance, if somebody's freestyling, that means that they're just moving. They might hit the music, they might not, right? Okay. Choreography is, you went to a studio, you listen to the music, you broke it down, and then you put like a specific steps to all these parts of the music. Interpretation is, you feel the music, and then you interpret the music how you feel it should be perceived, right? So, but musicality is a step further. especially for these dances, when we have such so many different um, roots like and histories about every single movement. So when I start teaching Afro-Cuban, which right now one of my mentors for Afro-Cuban is Marisol Blanco, she talks a lot about this, about how every single movement has a story. So especially when it comes to salsa, it is rooted on all those Afro-Cuban roots, all those African roots, dances and movements that that you have to understand those type of concepts if you want to go that step further. Hopefully that answers your question.
That's perfect, man. That's perfect. I wanted your opinion on it. So let me ask you this then. I don't know if this is even proper to ask you because the way you just described it, but is it possible for someone to improve their musicality then? Is that possible in your
Yes,
definition? Okay. And so
yes.
so how does one go about improving their musicality?
Studying a lot. Not just okay. So you have to understand the music. Like one of the concepts that like which is possible, the most simple rhythm, but the most difficult concept to understand is clave. Okay, which um, which I have to pay homage to Cuban Pete and Barbara Craddock to that they help me understand the concept of clave. Okay, so you have to understand the concept of clave and how everything is built from that concept. And so you have to understand that. That's the music part. Okay. Then you have to also study like the original dances, like this, those Yoruba dances, those Bantu dances, the Caravali dances, the Arara dances, because all the movements that we do right now, they are based off those dances. And actually, I have taught a workshop that is called the evolution of salsa. So, and then you actually we go all the way to like Bantu rhythms and to going into like what we call today salsa. So it's like, and there's a bunch of different layers and steps that people have been doing through centuries. And the only thing that they change is like the mannerism of how you approach this dance and like these movements. So to what we now call salsa. So it's like you have to understand that. So so you have to have that base really strong. And then the other thing, so you understand the music, so you develop in your ear, you understand the history, so you develop in your brain, and then this is when the artistic part comes in, is that you also need to bring your own approach to it. Okay, because you do not, as a dancer, it's an art form, it's a form of self-expression, right? So if you study so much that you put yourself into this little box, then you're not expressing yourself artistically anymore. So they always going to feel like you're being suppressed, you're suppressing yourself. So then you need to understand of who you are, how this music is connecting with you, and how you can express those feelings. So, so yeah, so it is possible. It takes a long time. It's not something that is going to happen right away.
Okay, it sounds a very effortful, I guess. Yeah, a lot of effort has to be put into it. Let me ask you this final question. Last question I want to ask you. Can you give me one tip that can make anyone a better dancer immediately?
Immediately, okay, quality over quantity. Yeah. So I compare it always to like somebody who is very eloquent, a very eloquent speaker, right? So if I say something and it takes me like one or two sentences to be able to communicate that correctly, and then I have somebody else communicating that same thought with two words, it's gonna make a heck of a lot of difference, right? So so always quality and quantity. So like we all seen this when you are just learning and you took all these classes, you know all these term patterns, and then you're dancing with your partner and you want to like throw them all in there, right? And of course, your partner is like going like, trying to like catch her breath and not falling on the floor, and it was not enjoyable for her. Okay, so it's gonna be a challenge to get better that way. So if you just concentrate on like the quality of the movement, let the movement breathe. Okay, so for instance, like um, when you hear something like this, it doesn't go like this, but yeah, then it stops. It resonates like boom. So it's the same thing with the movement. So if I want to do something like this, okay, it kills the emotion, right? But if I go like this, boom, and then I just keep resonating, that's gonna give you a better quality. So like allow that movement to breathe, to finish. So I finish all the way to my fingers, and then I can come back and to do something else. So now you're dancing like an infinity sign, right? There is no ending. You don't go stop and then start again. So it's kind of like to create the energy and allow it to flow into the next thing. So you are just how do you say it? Shaping the energy into different forms instead of like being every move being one energy stop, second energy stop. Especially with this type of music, it's very melodic, and it has all these different waves that you can play with. And so it takes some time to understand that, and but it's very important also because if you concentrate on one or two steps at a time, you can perfect them in a way that can be enjoyable for your partner. As a leader, that's probably the best way to do it. As a follower, uh, uh, you have to talk as well, because when you're dancing, it is a communication. So in this dance, we talk about like the leader and the follower. And a lot of times we believe that the leader is doing the talking and the follower is only responding. Okay? That's a one-way conversation. This should be a two-way conversation. So I might, as a leader, I might start the conversation, but then my follower also needs to respond and ask another question, so that way I can shape it. So not every dance is going to be the same, because the energy or that reply from your partner is going to be different. It's going to help you shape into something else. Okay, so it's going to be that, again, going back to those unique moments that you're going to have. I have danced with a lot of people, and I have danced with a couple of them, like for very, a lot of times. Let us say, like I have danced with one partner for like 2 or 3 years, and if every single time that we dance the same song, it's gonna be a different experience because the energy is different. So if we just go into like those very mechanical moves, that is like, okay, cross body, right turn, inside turn, then you're not really listening to the music, you're not really listening to your partner. So you have to create that communication.
Okay, all that is super, super important. Super important. Um, at this point, man, I really want to thank you, Norberto, for taking time actually to talk to me, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Of course. Tell me this real quick before I let you go. Tell me, I know times are crazy right now, but do you have any upcoming events? Anything you want to plug or share with the people?
No, I do not have. So there's especially in my state, there's a lot of uncertainty of how and when we're going to be coming out of this, which makes it hard, especially with my business model, which is creating community. It's really hard to create a community when nobody can be part of that community. So that's something that I'm struggling with right now. I've been doing some webinars, online about like the history and the cultural concepts about the music, but it has not been really consistent. But because right now I don't really have that much time or energy, because of right now I'm the caretaker of my kids during the day until they go to sleep. So man, and they are balls of fire. So they really take all the energy that I have. But what I've been trying to do at this moment, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement, I've been trying to approach some other dance companies in the area. We're trying to create some programs that will help our community become better, especially when we open, so to have that those backbones already in place, so those systems in place, so that whenever we do come back, we're able to create a more inclusive community for everybody. So that's where my energy is going right now.
Okay, I understand. I understand. Tell me this real quick. How can people get in contact with you? How can they reach out to you?
So they can. I have my website is mambodinamico.com. You can also find me on Facebook, or Twitter, or what's the other one? Instagram, for Mambo, and as a Mambo Dinamico dance company. Yeah, so they can reach out, and any questions that you might have, I'm more than happy to share.
Perfect, perfect, man. Like I said, Norberto, I want to thank you so much. Before we close this out, is there any last words, anything you want to share with the people before we end this episode?
Oh yeah, hang in there. This will come to an end sometime, but it is gonna come. It is gonna come to an end. Like these times are gonna pass. It can be a few weeks, a few months, or maybe a year from now, but it is gonna be past us at one point. And so just hang in there. Try to stay safe. Wear a mask, and if we also take some preventive measures, it's probably going to be over sooner, and that's what we all want, be able to get together and dance again.
Amazing, amazing. I think that is a great way to wrap up this episode of the Two Left Feet podcast. Thank you so much, Norberto.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Take it easy, boss.
That's all it is. Hey everyone, if you made it this far all the way to the end of the video, I want to thank you so much. My overall goal with making these interviews and these episodes is to give a voice to dancers, to give them a platform to speak their story. So if this is of value to anyone, then that means the world to me. My overall goal is to give value to the dance community. So if you find no value in this, then I urge you to please let me know where I can improve on. I truly want to, just give value and content to the dance community. So please let me know how I can improve, where I'm messing up, because to be 100% honest with you, I'm learning along the way as I do this. I truly am. So to be able to interact with the dance community, it means the world to me, because it gives me feedback and it lets me know what I'm doing right, where I can improve upon, what I'm doing wrong, which I feel like might be more important. So please, if you all could comment and just let me know what you think, it means the world to me, because that feedback just helps me improve. So please comment as well. Please like and subscribe. That means a lot as well. But I want to say thank you so much for just watching this, because it means the world to me. I want to take you on this journey of the Two Left Feet podcast. I'm very excited for it. So once again, thank you so much.